The Sunday morning talk shows thrive on contention these days, so it's no wonder that Republicans who denied the presidential election results are popular guests. But interviewers don't always remind viewers who they are talking to or what they've said, giving them undeserved credibility.
Our duty is clear.
Right before she was voted out of her House GOP leadership position this week, Wyoming Congresswoman Liz Cheney had this to say.
Remaining silent and ignoring the lie emboldens the liar.
Exactly. Ignoring the lie does embolden the liar. So how come so many talk shows are booking guests who are election deniers?
Don't try to censor, cancel, and silence me here. You raised the issue.
Senator,
so if you raise the issue, you've got to listen to the truth.
That's Missouri Senator Josh Hawley trying to give the Washington Post's Kat Zakrzewski a lecture on the truth. Rich coming from someone who wanted to overturn election results in several states. Hawley and Florida Senator Rick Scott, another election denier, are popular Sunday morning guests.
You know, the president gives a nice talk about unity, but then he doesn't, there's no unity.
No mention anywhere in that interview with CBS's Anthony Mason that Scott voted against certifying the election results. CNN's Jake Tapper is having none of it.
If they're willing to lie about Joe Biden wanting to steal your hamburgers, what are they not willing to lie about? Why should I put any of them on TV?
Good question. Over on Fox, Chris Wallace allowed Indiana Representative Jim Banks to spout off about replacing Liz Cheney, but then held him accountable.
You joined more than 100 House Republicans supporting a Texas lawsuit to overturn the election results in other states.
Like Liz Cheney says, ignoring the lie emboldens the liar.
Well, John, as a Sunday morning talk show host, I'm going to call on you first. I mean, I understand booking guests that are provocative. These people have become household names. But to not call them out on some of the things they've said, and by the way, to go to the same well of these people every single time, some of them, I agree with Jake Tapper, have no business being anywhere on the airwaves anymore, unless they're willing to come to some kind of reckoning about what happened after January 6th, if they're going to believe that there was indeed a real insurrection, which some of them don't even believe it was. They said it was just tourists visiting the White House. I mean, how can you have people on like that?
Well, look, I think you're getting to the heart of it when you talk about how it's up to the journalists who are doing these interviews to provide the context that the viewer needs. Now, are we poorer? Is the information universe less rich because we no longer hear the dishonest stylings of Kayleigh McEnany on a regular basis, or any one of a number of Trump apologists who specialized in just flagrant lying on the air? No, we're not. And I think you saw the cable nets, the non-Fox cable nets, move away from that stuff that they were doing early in the Trump years. But look, Rick Scott is one of the two senators from Florida, a major state. He's head of the Republican Senatorial Campaign Committee. I think what he has to say, however false it might be, deserves some airtime if it's fact-checked and pushed back on. Kevin McCarthy's the minority leader of the House. How do you not have him on? This gets back to our old argument, Emily, about whether or not Trump's every comment should have been newsworthy. I argued for the most part it was, and I'm standing by that.
I think we have to listen to each other. I think as journalists, we're better off erring on the side of having the conversation than banning people from the airways. I think Chris Wallace has it exactly right, which is do your preparation, be ready for the interview, be able to push back. Now, if you're in a live interview, it's hard to get every single lie that gets uttered and push back against it. What I've said, I just spoke to a team of journalists in Illinois who are putting together a local talk show about whether they should ban a congresswoman there who, objected to the election results from the airwaves. And I said, look, tell your audience, we're going to have her on. We'll try to correct everything that's wrong that is said on the air. If we don't do it, forgive us. We're human beings. We'll come back tomorrow and we'll tell you that we should have said this or that. And of course, say that the election was not rigged. But I think we're better off erring on the side of conversation.
I think another thing to remember about these Sunday morning shows and all of these talk shows is that they are news, yes, but they are also entertainment. And there's a reason that certain people are booked. Partly it's because of their position, as Jon pointed out, and they're relevant and they have positions of power that ought to be heard. Partly it's because they make good TV and there's an expectation that they will be watched because they might say something incendiary, because they might create a moment of challenge. And good for Chris Wallace, as you said, to bring that challenge right up to the air rather than being like Jake Tapper and just ignoring it and pretending that they don't exist. The fireworks can be good for everybody, right? It's win-win. They can create some great television for the network that's doing it, and they can bring the argument and the counter-argument and the facts up to the fore.
I think a lot of the bookers for these shows, I think there's definitely an element of that. Is it good TV? Same reason you get the same handful of actors in the prime roles in movies over and over and over again, even though there are lots of others available. But I also think it's important for the producers, for the anchors, for the journalists to remember that inviting someone on as a guest doesn't mean you're handing them a megaphone. It doesn't mean they deserve a platform to say whatever they want unchallenged. I think it's really incumbent upon the journalist to set the stage there, to offer the context. It is difficult to fact check in real time, but you can definitely challenge your guest and have a discussion rather than just give them free rein to give a speech.
Yeah, I'd still like to see a few different names and faces in there because I got to say, if it's Josh Hawley, I'm hitting that exit button.